Hi. This is going to be kind of a weird video. You'll notice I haven't done a new video in a while. A huge part of that is because at work I've lost access to a lot of the resources that I usually had, and so I haven't been able to just sit down with a nice professional streaming setup and just stream at lunch whenever I want to. Add to that the fact that we've been remodeling at my house, and so the room where the computer is, it's like 9 other rooms right now because we've had to move out of the rest of the house. As you can see, children can just run by playing the ukulele anytime they want, so streaming's a little difficult. Anyway, so I got a headset mic and I tried streaming from my desk at work. And the sound quality of my voice isn't great. I'm not on camera, and so it's really different from a lot of the other videos that I've done. So check it out and write in the comments to let me know what you think. Can you hear me well enough? Can you recommend any better equipment that I should be using in order to pick up my voice but not a lot of the surrounding audio at the office? Or is the video quality so bad that you just kind of don't want this to appear in your feed? Let me know how you feel about it. In the meantime, here is Surviving Mars.
So this is Surviving Mars, which I am attempting to stream from my desk with a headset mic. We'll see how effective this is, if I can, number one, be heard well, and number two, manage not to bother everyone around me at the office. I don't think I will. I think that there's enough ambient noise around here of people talking that this will just be one more voice in the sea of voices, but we will certainly see if anyone complains. So this is my second Martian colony, which my very first one was just completely haphazard and I had no idea what I was doing, so I'm trying to be a little smarter this time around, though there are some challenges. Actually, I saw a video recently from the creators of this game that talked about the fact that they're adding passages to connect one dome to another, which is a big deal because one of the problems that I've been having is I'll build this dome and I'll say, okay, you people live here, you people live here, here are some amenities, here's some jobs for you to do, and then I just sort of got this exact right number of people. Like, okay, I've got 6 vacant work slots, and no other room to add additional residents. If I wanted to add additional residents here, I would need to knock down their homes and build new homes, and hopefully nobody would get earthsick and fly home while I was doing that. And then if I had more homes here, I would need to provide enough jobs for all the people in those larger homes, but I don't have a lot of room for jobs here either, and so it would be helpful if I could extend this dome by just adding another dome next to it and connecting the two of them, so I have room to sort of expand organically rather than kind of being locked into exactly the number of spaces here. Because one thing that I just realized was that dome spires, I never added a dome spire. So I could add a water reclamation system, which could be helpful, let me farm more intensively without needing as much water, except that this requires 6 workers to stay working all the time, and I don't have 6 extra workers, and I don't really have a great way to add them. Like I said, unless I decide to just knock down homes people are currently living in and just let them be homeless for a while I make replacements. So that's a challenge, but I am really liking this game so far, though. It's the best inhospitable colony simulator that I've played so far. I really like just the very kind of simple, chunky management. You're providing power, you're providing oxygen, you're providing water, and there's just sort of a simple equation to sort of figure out how much of each of these things you need to keep a colony alive. And then there's simple, you build residences to house colonists, you move those colonists in, you decide how much space you want to set up at the different job sites that they can work at, and then each job site creates something the colony needs. So you start out very dependent on Earth for complex resources, but slowly over time you build up your local industry so that you can provide those things yourself. Long term, there's a challenge because it feels like all of these resources are depletable. And so I feel like at some point, every colony has got to end in failure, right? Because eventually you run out of metal, you run out of rare metals, you run out of easy water supplies, there's a lot of stuff you can just pull out of the air. You can pull water out of the air. So if you build enough moisturizers or whatever, you're going to moisturators. I forgot what they call them. What do they call them? Moisture evaporators. Well, if you get enough of those, you can make water last forever. But I mean, I guess at some point maybe you're just selling research and you are buying everything from Earth. Whoa, meteor strike. I'm not really sure. In the meantime, though, I'm trying to build up this new area over here. I've got a dome that has, I think this guy just has access to water, and metal. Sorry, it's been a couple days since I played, so I've totally lost track of what I was doing. Got access to metal, and so he's using the metal to make more machine parts, because I looked at my overall accounting and saw that my machine parts maintenance costs were 8.7 and my machine parts production was 8. So I need to get my machine parts production higher if I don't want to be dependent on Earth. So I built a new machine parts factory. It isn't at maximum capacity right now. I need more people to move in here. And that's actually one of the challenges. I kind of like that in the simulation. One of the things that they simulate is how hard it is to convince people to come to Mars. So there's only 13 people who are actually willing to come to my colony right now, but, that'll help, so I'll bring those guys over. Hello, Devil Saint. Hey, Epic Sakura and Lord Fortez. Good to see you guys. I am speaking into a headset mic at my desk and hoping I'm not bothering my neighbors too much. Luckily, most of them are at lunch, so hopefully this won't bug them too much, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. If you can't hear me okay, or if I start bothering people, I won't be able to do this anymore, but I figured I'd give it a try. So this game it relies a lot on you setting your own goals. Each playthrough has got kind of a storyline. In fact, right here, you see how Mars just turned suddenly green? That's not... don't adjust your monitors. That's actually one of the storylines you can have. Whoa, hello.
The note in your hand bears your name. Its mysterious writer bidding you to visit them in the garden.
The sense of danger tingles in the back of your head, a keen tool you've developed over the years of climbing through the intrigue-filled political structure of the Authority. So there's this story that you're being told. You're having hallucinations of some other society apparently living on Mars. I don't know if it's in the past, I don't know if it's in the future, but it's telling the story, and it always involves hallucinations of a green Mars.
Your eyes flutter open as you feel the presence of someone else there. A figure in the bushes. You can't help but to gasp as they step into the dim glow of the streetlight. Leah sits down beside you, taking your hand.
Romeo and Juliet, all the way.
The liquid in the vial tastes like nothing. Like death.
A colonist has died.
Oh no, I murdered someone. So you have these weird little stories going on, and I've only had 2 so far. One of them is the Dredgers, the other one is the Dreamers. And there's these weird, interesting little stories. I was kind of skimming past that one because, I didn't want to just sit there and read on Twitch. But the thing they don't really do is fundamentally change the way the simulation works. And so the actual simulation, most of the gameplay is a very self-directed kind of experience. You have to figure out what you're trying to get out of it. And like in this particular case, my goal was to just be more deliberate with the way I set up my domes. Originally, I just had this massive haphazard infrastructure where I was trying to provide water and power and oxygen to all of these different domes, and I didn't really have a purpose in mind for each one. So this time my goal was just to be more deliberate. So I had this place to set up next to a metal mine, and it has a parts manufacturing. So, pretty coherent, like it extracts the metal, it makes the parts, and we're good. And it also, makes a little bit of food for itself, but actually these guys are my food guys. They've got, this farm inside, and they've also got this farm outside. These guys are also food guys. Like, I tried to build up my food infrastructure first. These are the first 2 domes that I built. These guys are also money makers because they're mining rare metals out of this. And then I built this guy over here because I already had some fuel extractors and I wanted to be able to make polymers. And so I built this one specifically to have a polymer factory near the fuel refineries so that fuel and water come, down over here to this factory, and then the people who live in this dome, they work in the factory and they make polymers, which I use to maintain some of my advanced equipment. So like each of these domes has got like a specific reason in mind why I've built it. This one up here, partly I just built it because I wanted to build the larger dome I just unlocked, and partly I need to make more machine parts, and I also wanted to have a secondary dome up here that's just going to be devoted to research. Once I've got enough people to fill it up, and that's the problem. So, land this spaceship. This is the spaceship I called for when I needed more Martian colonists. So it's going to land and dump more people in here. So maybe I'll get more folks working here, more folks working at the power plant, more folks working at the mine.
New colonists have arrived.
Right, I'm going to open up some more shifts so these guys can drop into their jobs. This dome is huge. It's got, Oh, it's got homeless people. What? I didn't think that... I thought I had enough room for them. Well, let's build some more homes then. Where is that kept? It's over here. So I could build living quarters for 14 people, or I could build apartments, which are fancier, and hold more people. But that means I've also got to like feed and provide jobs for all those people. But I think that's fine. I just barely unlocked apartments, so just up the priority on that. Make sure that all of my drones are devoted to building that place, and hopefully my homeless people won't get too angry during that time. Epic Security, yes, people do have kids. If you build a nursery, people's kids have a place to grow up, and build a playground and a school and stuff, then they become smarter, better Martian colonists as they get older. Lord Fortiz,
Funding received.
Lord Fortiz asks, why can't this be a straight simulation? Why does it have to have these storylines? I think you can actually decide not to have any of the storylines. When you start a custom game, you get to either decide which storyline you want, or you decide to make it random, or I think you can decide that none at all. So that is definitely optional. I do kind of want to see what they are, though. I want to see what variety of things they've managed to put in. Yeah, maybe some of them have a greater effect on the simulation than others. So I don't... Okay, oh, what's going on up here? Did I... Oh, is this... Oh, it's run out of... Okay. So this is one of my concrete extractors, and it has run out of concrete, so it's not making any more, which is one reason why my apartments are kind of slow to build. So let's build a new one, just to get the last little dregs of concrete up. And let's connect it to power. In time. Okay, good. This has been built. So now we've got lots of vacant residential slots. It looks like, though, a bunch of my colonists might have moved to other domes while this thing was being constructed, because nobody's moving in. So I'm betting my other domes accepted that extra population. Unfortunately, I don't remember how many people were at each of these domes, so I've got no way to tell where the people went. Looks like we've got room for colonists in this one, though. Holy crap. Maybe because I didn't put a nursery in here? Oh, no, I did. I was thinking maybe these people aren't reproducing enough. What's their comfort level like? Comfort's high, so they should be producing babies, so yeah, I don't know why they would have had a shortfall. Should definitely be bringing in more colonists, though. Yeah, so I don't want to start building anything in this new dome until I've filled up this dome. Like, I'm just worried about having a bunch of, half-apportioned domes just sort of limping along, accomplishing nothing. Like, I want each dome to reach its maximum potential before I start moving on. So this ship is fueled up and ready to take off, but it's still gathering exports, so I want that to continue before I send it away, so that I can make some more money and be able to buy some more gear. The ships are interesting. In the first campaign that I played, I was playing on the super easy tutorial difficulty level where you get a bunch of extra food, so you like basically never have to worry about feeding your people, and ships would refuel automatically, like they would extract fuel from the air, like in The Martian. But in this case, they don't actually do that, and so you have to build fuel refineries.
We have a power.
Our colonists are suffering from hypothermia.
What is happening? Oh, the power station's having a malfunction, and it needs electronics. Looks like we've got electronics. This shouldn't actually take much time. So I'm not exactly sure how maintenance works. Do we, like, it looks like, yeah, the drones are coming over here to fix it, provide it with enough stuff. Oh wait, no, that was humans. Wait, where's my drones? Come on, let's fix this guy. So what should be happening is this drone commander, it's got a bunch of little drones. They have access to electronics here. They should be picking up electronics and taking them over here to repair this. And I don't know why they are not. What's this guy doing? He's carrying electronics over there? Why? Okay, looks like somebody fixed this. So the question is, I'm not sure, do I have to wait until a building fully malfunctions before we can fix it, or is there some like routine maintenance that the drones should be doing that they just failed to do in this case? Because I'd hate to have just regular power outages and everyone freezes for a few hours while they try to fix the power station. Lord Fortiz suggests that somebody sneezed and it just blew everything up. Yeah, so this game involves, like I was saying, it kind of requires you to decide on what your goals are. Because right now, I've got, I'm extracting metals, I'm extracting rare metals, I'm not self-sufficient when it comes to electronics. What that would take is I would need to go and maybe place a base over here, collect rare metals, and instead of exporting and selling them, use them to make electronics. I could be doing more research. But then once I'm doing that, it's basically just I'm kind of self-sufficient until I run out of these resources in the ground, and then I'm kind of dead. And so I'm looking forward, and it's like I don't really see an end game that I could be pushing towards to kind of lead me forwards. It's more just like, oh, I wonder if I can do this next step. I wonder if I'll succeed at this next step. But I have to sort of make up things to do to motivate myself. So that's a little bit of a challenge here, but that's a challenge in any simulation game. In SimCity, like what are you trying to do? Are you just building another city, or do you have some specific thing in mind you want to accomplish? And it's easy for you to sort of run out and like lose interest in games like that if you run out of clever objectives to set for yourself. So I'm not sure if there's a great solution for that. Okay, that didn't last very long. What drives me crazy is there's still just a little tiny bit of concrete. Concrete is shown by the yellow stains on the surface of Mars. There's a little tiny bit left, and this hexagon is telling me there's a little tiny bit left, but I can't justify the expense of picking up so little. So I'm just going to demolish this entire place. And I'll try to move this rover to a position where his drones can go and can pick up all of this stuff and send it somewhere else. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's get it just close enough and finish demolishing these. Everything has to be demolished in 2 steps. Like there's a whole special technology you unlock for fully demolishing things, and before you unlock that technology, anything you destroy just sits there, like a ruin of it sits there covered in Martian dust, which I actually kind of like. It's interesting creating ruins of your own stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to take no, that was not... Okay, there's some UX issues here where when you're selecting buildings or construction options, like right-clicking deselects things. But when you are clicking vehicles, right-clicking gives orders, and left-clicking deselects things. and so it is very easy to do the wrong thing, which is a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to make a couple of supply depots. And you can see as soon as I did that, the drone started moving. Basically, because this guy can reach, this is a drone commanding vehicle, because he can reach from over here to over here, and I've demolished the depots that contained all these resources. All of its drones know, okay, I have to grab all these loose resources and put them on a depot. So they'll come and put them on the depot, which is then within reach of this drone commander, which can reach this entire area. So now all these resources that I have over here can be used to keep this dome and these, facilities up and running. Dan31 says that headset mic Geoffrey sounds different. Well, part of it is the fact that instead of trying to speak loudly and project into a mic that's a few feet in front of me, I'm actually trying to restrain my voice so that I'm not bothering everyone around me. I think right now all the people who sit really close to me are at lunch, so I can't be bothering any of them, but I'm sure that'll be over in the next half hour or so, so I still want to be, polite and not bother anybody. Lord Fortune says the music is relaxing, and yeah, I agree. That is actually one of the best things about this game is how good the music is. The only thing that's a little bit annoying is the fact that whenever I click away, the music turns off, which can be good depending on what I'm doing, but a lot of the time what I prefer is for game music just to stay on all the time. And so if I want to click away and look at Twitter or Facebook or something while I'm waiting for something to happen in the game, I'm not losing all of that ambiance. And also when I'm streaming, if I want to click on the chat or adjust something in my Twitch information, I'm not abandoning the game audio for everybody. Alright, so let's look at passengers. Okay, I've almost got 12 passengers, so I'm very close to wanting to launch my next rocket. How am I on supplies? Looks like I'm doing okay with electronics, machine parts. Looks
The
like
mission evaluation period is over, and the results are spectacular.
Okay, cool. So they do actually give you an objective, kind of a random objective, when you first start a campaign. And in this case, I needed to investigate all of the anomalies on the map, and I succeeded at that. So I've got a score. Great. So far, those kinds of objectives that I've been given at the outset have been kind of the least interesting objectives. It's not like, I needed to build a thriving industry or something like that. So far, the two that I've had have been just research a bunch of stuff and explore a bunch of anomalies, which are both kind of orthogonal to the main activity of the game, which is, building physical buildings and stocking them with people and stuff like that, and keeping people alive. Like if I had a population goal or an industrial goal, I feel like that might actually motivate me.
We have a power shortage.
Oh, crap. Really? Malfunctioning again? Come on. It's ridiculous. Anyway, if I had goals that were specifically tied to how I build my, my infrastructure, then it would feel like, each time I start a new colony, oh wow, I've got to build the colony differently in order to support this goal. And so far, the two goals I've been given have not really been about that. So maybe that's intentional. Maybe they want me to have the freedom to build my industry however I want to. Maybe they don't want to sort of lock me into an objective that I might, not be excited about. I could see that being a problem, but I don't know. If there was a way for me to just choose my objective and then be, challenged to achieve it, that might make new playthroughs more interesting. I'm not sure, but again, I've only had a sample size of 2 experiences here, so I don't think my complaint there is necessarily a big deal. Okay, so all of my concrete extractors have failed. They've all run out of stuff, and the nearest additional concrete is over here. So so I feel like, I wonder, can I just run a shuttle out of here to just bring concrete back? I would need to be able to bring fuel to it, though. I think... I mean, there's a ton of concrete over
You
here.
wake up startled
Whoa.
under your own bed sheets. The world outside pitch black. A disturbing dream. Not that you remember much of it.
So it's telling me, let more dreamers experience the mirages. I don't actually know what I'm doing to make my Martians be dreamers. Like, apparently some segment of my population are participating in this activity, and somehow there's things I can do that make their interaction with the story more likely or something, but I don't understand it, and I've never understood it. So I'm kind of ignoring it because I don't know what else to do. Mr. Sourfapple, you're hilarious. Okay, so now I've got a couple of goals. So I know if I'm going to run out of concrete if I don't establish access to it pretty quick. I had my ambitions to build up this dome, but I think I might need to skip ahead and get a dome over here where I can collect a bunch of concrete. And stuff. You don't really need a dome to collect concrete, but I usually want a dome if I'm going to be, settling an area and building a large industry there. So, okay, it looks like, yeah, I would want a dome over here to collect that, a dome over here for that.
Funding received.
First dome probably goes here, though, where I've got access to water, rare metals, so I can make money. Okay, so we're going to pause, and I'm going to plan out the infrastructure here. Alright, so for just a couple of concrete things and a rare metals factory, I don't know if I need a big dome here. In fact, if I'm running low in concrete, we should probably go with a small dome for now. So yeah, it's saying too far from a working drone commander. That means I'm not going to be able to build it until I get a drone commander here, but that's fine. The main thing I need is for this to be close to the rare metals. Because that's the one thing that requires people to work there. Sourfapple is the original, he was the guy who used to be called the Joker. Okay, cool. I think I had lost track of that, but thanks for telling me. Okay, so I'm going to place that there, but I'm not actually going to let anybody build it yet, because the dome that's the expensive bit. We'll save that for later. What we will do is build a couple of concrete extractors here to make sure we got plenty of concrete. And we'll also build a rare metals extractor. And, nope, not that yet. We're going to build a water extractor. So there's a couple things that we need to make sure the dome gets. One thing it definitely needs is water. And if they're going to do any farming in here, this one water extractor might not be enough. And I think we should, since we're starting in a new place over here, I don't want them to be dependent on shipping food from the outside. So I think I will add a couple of moisture evaporators, which you have to keep far away from each other so that they don't overlap and try to suck water from the same air. I need to connect them together with pipes, so all of my water sources... I'm going to connect all of my water sources together with the same network of pipes, and then connect them all to the dome. And then similarly, I'm going to build an oxygen moxie over here, right there, and a couple of oxygen tanks for if it stops working, we don't end up with an interruption in our oxygen, because that's bad. Connect that to the dome with pipes. We should also put a water tower here for the same reason for the water. So just connect a water tower right there. And these things need power. So how much power? Water extractor needs 5 power. Evaporator needs 5 power. So we need at least... For some reason, sometimes their power needs will spike. So usually I'll just give them a little bit extra. So we're going to build 4 wind turbines up here, each of which provides 5. You kind of have to do this math in your head so you don't end up wasting resources. My first Martian colony, I was just wasting resources like crazy because I would just build, instead of trying to do the math, I would just build 1,000,000 power stations for everything. Okay, so we've got a little local power grid right here, and we'll do the same thing with the oxygen moxie, which, let's see here. It requires 2, so this one does not need a lot at all. Just 1 wind turbine will probably do it. So, wind turbine, cable. So that'll be fine, that'll be fine. One thing we're going to need is drones. So can I get a drone hub that covers this whole area, but also lets me get this concrete area? And I think I can, so... Oh, I'd love to get that water on the upper right, too. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so now I can work this whole area as long as I have this drone thing built. And I've got some tech that allows my drone guys to operate without power or anything like that. So it's self-sufficient, so I'll just let that stay there. I need to provide power to these guys. So my industry here... Oop, nope, that's not what I meant to do. Concrete extractor, 5 power. Rare metals, 5 power. Okay, so I need at least 3 wind turbines here. So I'm deciding to do wind turbines because they offer the most consistent power. I'll do 4. They're not the only option. The thing that is the drawback of them is that they require, for maintenance, they require machine parts, which are more expensive. I could put solar panels, which only work during the day, and then like back them up with batteries. Speaking of which, batteries. But... Oh, that's what I'm missing over there. Oh. Anyway, do solar panels and back them up with batteries, and that's easier to maintain, like less expensive to maintain. But, you know, it's uneven. It's like you're constantly... You know, at night, you know, you're making a lot less power, and if you're pretty clever about like when your work shifts are and stuff, maybe you can sort of roll with the sort of up and down waves of power, but I've not been that clever yet. So this is my problem. I never set up any batteries by this power station. So this power station, every time it loses power, everything loses power. So I'm just going to set up a bunch of batteries right there. That should solve that problem that we've been having. Okay, so the problem now is nothing there can get built because there's no drones, there's no resources. So I need to place a universal depot. I think I'll actually put it near the drones. And most importantly, a concrete depot, because concrete is one of the major materials that's used in all these things. I should probably have a rare metals depot over here, just to collect the stuff that comes out of that. We'll also need a dumping site. Wait, how big is the area of this drone thing? Okay, so I've got room over here for a dumping site. So, nice big dumping site. One thing you can't do is place a bunch of different copies of the same thing. You have to keep reselecting it from the menu. Okay, anyway, so I've got this one rover. Oh, wait. This guy's... Oh, he's malfunctioning. Okay, so I'm going to send one rover over here to help that guy. Then I've got this other rover with drones. So I've got basically this mobile drone base that I can take over here. So I'm going to bring the mobile drone base over here. And as soon as he gets close to these guys, to these... places where you can stick resources, whatever these are called, depots. When it gets close to these depots, they'll kind of activate, and these shuttles that come out of these little holes in the ground, these shuttles will start funneling resources over to these depots so that this guy's drones can use them. So some of these buildings I already had prefabs for, which means I get to build them instantly without resources. But prefabs are expensive and you can only get them from Earth. So these guys got built early because they had prefabs, but the rest of it has to wait for shuttles to come in with resources. So whenever it drops some resources, these guys grab them, come over and start building stuff. So they got some metals, they can start building the pipes and the conduits. And this is actually kind of the most fun part of the game, of just sort of watching all of these little machines just start operating independently and bringing all this stuff to life. Now, one thing I realized we could do is build a fuel refinery out here. Though actually... Okay, good, I do know how to build one. So, if I build a fuel refinery, that's going to suck some of my water, and that also is going to require some more power, so let me... How much more power? 5. Okay, so I'll just add one more wind turbine to my pile here. And I'll connect it via a conduit. So I can be manufacturing fuel here out of the water, and that means I can land ships here and have the ships be refueled faster, because I don't have to ship, fuel from across the world to refuel them. That's going to take some water too, though, so I might need to build more moisture evaporators. So, ever so slowly. Oh, but the other thing that means I can do is I can build this guy, transportation hub. So that takes 10 power, but that means I can have more shuttles. And I really like shuttles. So I'm going to connect my shuttle stop here to this power grid and add a couple more of these guys.
Vehicle battery low.
Uh-oh. Okay, so this guy, his drones are not essential anymore because we've got this building with its own drones, but it doesn't have that many drones yet. So yeah, I should put him over here. So whenever these things get built, power will go into these conduits, and now because he's sitting on the power cable, he'll start getting power. But we should probably bring in a cargo ship, for one thing, to replenish electronics, because those are getting low. Maybe if I brought in a ship full of concrete, I'd be able to get these guys up and running faster, because they take... Oh no, it's mostly machine parts that they're missing. Looks like they've actually got a lot of their concrete. So yeah, let's grab a cargo ship. So, let's see here. We're using some of our moisture evaporators, so let's get some more, because these can only be made on Earth right now. I haven't unlocked the technology to make them myself. And let's buy a bunch of drones. That's the other thing I wanted, yeah, was to have more drones in this area. And then if we bring in a bunch of machine parts, that'll help build that stuff faster. But electronics is what we're really missing. All this funding comes from me. Well, part of it comes from the fact that I'm supported by the US and they just provide extra money now and then. But then part of it is, they've got a bunch of different sponsors you can get that give you different advantages. But part of this is from selling rare metals that I've been mining from Mars. So I'm spending this money to get free stuff. I'm not really sure what else I should build or grab. A new drone hub would be nice. And then I guess let's just overdo it on these guys. Cool. And then let's also grab a passenger rocket, because I think, yeah, we got enough people now, so launch that sucker. It looks like this place actually could use some extra folks. I've only got 2 vacant residential slots, though. Huh. Yeah, I wish I could just directly upgrade these residences to house more people rather than having to knock them down first. So many vacant work slots. How did I end up with so many? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet and actually demolish one of these and replace it with an apartment. So now this place has got 6 homeless people. So hopefully the drones will build this quickly. So what they have to do is they have to pile up. You can see they've got a little depot here where they're piling up all the resources they need to build this thing. And when they finally pile up the last resource, one drone will come in and finish building it. So looks like just one more polymer. Okay, now here we go. So it looks like the work imbalance that I had here, where I had so many more vacant work slots and residential slots, that was me doing bad math. I built this place to support this polymer factory, which, can support, what is this, 18 people? And between the polymer factory, the farm, and all these amenities, I had so many jobs and not enough people, so I should have planned this differently. But now I've got enough, room, so what's going on here? Oh, interesting. I haven't seen this before. People planning to move here from another dome. Maybe this is people who moved out when I destroyed their homes, moving back in. As you can see, we've got the 2 ships incoming. Okay, I was going to bring that one ship over here to provide resources for this, but it looks like it's already finished. It's actually, might as well build the dome. Domes take a lot of concrete. Building not working. Oh, we are out of metal over here. Well, that's going to be a problem. Oh, wait, you know what I didn't do before I deal with that? I forgot to provide power directly to this dome. That's a problem. So Stirling generators are powerful and don't need a lot of inputs, but they also, the resources to build them and maintain them are a little less common. So I don't know exactly when I'm building this dome, so I'm just going to provide it with a bunch of power. Alright, so this is our ship with all the drones. So I'm going to drop it here so that it can donate its drones to this drone hub. But then my passenger ship should probably come over here, because I wanted to fill this place up. But now I gotta figure out, like, what are these people for now? A bunch of them are unemployed because this metal source has run out. And with this metal source having run out, this factory doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Have arrived.
So that entire economy is going to be a problem. So basically, I need to build a new dome over here to take advantage of this metal deposit now, and then figure out, do I want to keep manufacturing machine parts here? I mean, I can still get metals over here. Like, I've got a big pile of metal just waiting to go, and then there are other ways to get metals. Like, I've got these rovers out here that I've been ignoring, that can go and gather metal from surface deposits. Oh, and there's this one. So as long as I keep finding surface deposits, like this guy.
Vehicle battery low.
Yeah. He's coming home, it's fine. yeah, as long as I can keep finding surface deposits, I can keep this factory running, but long term, we're going to want to get access to that. So we get this guy up and running, but then that's my next goal. And so my research dome is just going to sit here forever, not ever getting people. Okay, we're at 6 people. I usually wait till this is at least 12 before I launch another passenger rocket. Hey Turvama, yes, I did manage to find myself a microphone that I could use at my desk. Hopefully I'm not bothering my neighbors too much. Devin just sat down, and so if I'm bothering him and he's listening to my voice, he can definitely tell me to shut up.
Will I, though?
He just leaned in and said, will I, though? And hopefully you couldn't hear him, because hopefully this mic is only picking me up. That was one of my goals, because it's really not appropriate to have an open mic in a office where people are talking about, you know, trade secrets and things, but I think this mic only picks me up. So let me know if you could hear Devin just then, because that would be worrisome to me. But, I mean, when most people are out to lunch, I don't think it's that big a deal. And, you know, I say trade secrets with massive air quotes around it because, you know, it's mostly just, you know, talking about a game in progress. You know, usually you want to keep that under your hat until you actually know what you want to announce. For Tiz and Turvama, I'd say, yeah, they totally heard Devin. Okay, well, that's, I'll need to be cognizant of that then. Of course, he was talking pretty loud, so, I don't know. We'll see how we feel about this long term. Oh, Epic Sakura said she could hear Devin but could not understand what he said. Well, that actually is the perfect zone, because then if somebody comes over to talk to me...
Our colonists
Whoa.
are starving.
What? What? Am I not providing enough food? Crap. I got 438 food. The food's just not getting here. Well, let's make sure we are... Wait, where is it? Here. Well, maybe some of you folks who've been working in the factory need to step up and start making food instead. Okay, looks like I've just got one starving person who just failed to get a meal. This is probably unnecessary, actually. Let's only do one of these. Alright, well, we better get ready to get cracking on this guy. So, now that I can build apartment complexes, I think I will. So, they're less luxurious to live in, but it gives me more room to put other amenities in that people might like. So, I think that gives me, what, 24 colonists? Let's look. 24. Yeah, okay, so if this is fully staffed, it'll have 12 people. So that's 12. We should make our own local food. And that's another 6. Then I got 6 more people to staff the... You need a place for people to pick up food. So let's get a... What am I looking for? Diner. That's up to 6 people. So this is mostly going to be geologists and botanists that will want to work here. So let's quickly look at what those people like. So geologists love to drink, whereas botanists like luxury. We can deal with that. So drinking comes from the space bar, and luxury come from the art workshop. And let's also give them an infirmary, just because that helps with lots of things. If they want to have babies over here, that's probably a thing we should support. And now we've got enough places. I think we actually need some more people to live here. So get that. And then I'm not sure what else we want. There's a couple other things we could get, but let's leave it at that. Turfama says, to be fair, aren't all office neighbors loud? Yeah, we all basically wear headphones all the time in here because, you know, you never know when you need to have a random conversation at your desk, and, you know, you don't want to be disrupting everybody around you, so we all just kind of, like, you know, agree to be in our own little bubbles with our headphones on, listening to whatever we listen to. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes just having the headphones on to block sound. Okay, so these ships think they're ready to take off. Yep, that one's full of exports, so it's worthwhile. This one could still spend some time gathering some more exports. I only have 3 rockets, so I keep having to launch them back and reuse them. You can see these little people signs saying, hey, we need workers. Epic Secure, the only thing I can sell to Earth is rare metals. I think they're basically saying that, you know, most things I could get on Mars are plentiful on Earth. Like, it's not worth the price to ship it all the way to Earth and sell it there. Like, no one would pay, except for rare metals. Because, you know, electronics and a lot of modern technology requires certain rare metals that are actually pretty scarce on Earth. And, you know, once Earth starts to run low on that stuff, that might be one of the reasons to justify space colonies, is because you could get stuff, you know, in places like Mars or the asteroid belt that you couldn't get as easily on Earth. And, you know, while that stuff is still accessible on Earth, it's way cheaper to get it from Earth. But if it becomes genuinely rare on Earth and very difficult to get, then it might actually justify, you know, shipping things through space. So I do like all the nods to realism in this game, you know, like really coming up with how things might work and, you know, simplifying it for the sake of the simulation. But, I mean, this game really does seem to care a lot about, you know, trying to handle things in a fairly accurate way. This is getting close, so let's see if we're ready for passengers. 7. There are some technologies you can research that will make people happen faster. Oh, renegades are stealing stuff. That is not very much stuff, though, so I'm not worried about it. Got a vehicle with low power. I'll send him over here. Actually, a lot of this... Well, I was going to say this power probably isn't necessary because I've gotten rid of the concrete harvester, but it's not bad to have extra power powering your moxie, so I'll leave that there. Not quite full yet. When I discovered how these shuttles worked, that was miraculous.
Funding received.
Because for a while I was like, how in the world am I going to get all the resources that I need to all the places that I need it? But then they really do just handle it automatically and magically. Okay, so I got another shipment of metal for my factory. And yeah, now I'm just going to chill until I got enough people to move into this place. Nobody's moving here of their own free will. This game even simulates crop rotation. Like, you can grow soybeans that increase the soil quality, and then potatoes that suck the soil quality out. But the potatoes give you more food, and so if you can come up with a rotation scheme, you can actually, you know, make your farms produce more, which is kind of a crazy level of detail to have, you know, in a Martian simulation game. So it's 1:03, so I think that my lunch break is over. Let's see. getting close. I feel like I keep renaming this. And I keep... That's weird. Yeah, so I'm not quite ready to send colonists over here, but yeah, so my next steps, next time I play this, I'm going to bring in some colonists from Earth to settle this dome, get it going. I guess, you know, I was thinking about putting an electronics factory here, and I just realized I never bothered to do that. So, this is just going to be a money-making dome, which is fine. But I've settled here, which means I'm within striking distance of coming over here, setting up a new machine parts manufacturing plant. Over here, maybe over here is where I'll do the electronics plant. And once I'm self-sufficient on machine parts and electronics and polymers, I think I might feel like, yep, I've got a sufficient enough colony. I can keep maintaining it over the long term, keep, you know, moving around to grab other resource deposits, but I'll feel like I kind of have this particular colony solved, and I'll have to sort of figure out some new goals for myself. But I gotta say, overall, figuring out this game and, you know, learning how to build these colonies has been a joy. And just on a tactile level, like, this place just feels really good. Like, I love the scale of everything, and just the way all these little robots move around, how it feels to sort of survey my little autonomous machine that I've built. Because, you know, there's a lot of city builders where you can just sort of step back and look at the city, and it feels like there's a bunch of ambient motion, but it doesn't really mean very much. It's just, look at my pretty static city. But here, it's, you know, every single one of these little moving parts is doing something. You know, like, each of these drones is carrying one specific pile of resources to one specific place for one specific purpose. And there's just, you start with very little of it. You start with a single dome, and, you know, even before you have a dome, just like a bunch of little autonomous factories preparing for your dome. And you can understand what each drone is doing and why, but eventually get to this scale where you know you've built each of these things, and you know that there's a reason for everything, but it's all so complex with all these little moving parts that you can't really comprehend it all at once. Like, I don't know why that shuttle just moved over there, but I'm sure it was for a very good reason that I set out a long time ago. And so it's a great feeling to put together a little plan and watch little tiny robots carry it out. So yeah, so that is surviving Mars. I feel like I have survived Mars, so I'm going to save my game. And I'm going to take off. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And hopefully I'll be able to do this more. You know, if me talking into my headset mic didn't bother people too much, I might actually be able to stream at lunch more and be more coherent rather than having to click away from my game to type to you guys all the time. So I think that'll hopefully be good. I'll listen to this stream and see if my voice actually sounds as intelligible as I hope it does. In the meantime, anyway, thanks for being here, and I will see you later.
Okay, so that was my attempt to play Surviving Mars from my desk. I mean, playing it from my desk is a big deal. Streaming it from my desk is a little harder. So let me know what you thought in the comments, and I will, if this works for you, I'll keep trying. If there's a couple tweaks that I can do, if you've got any ideas for how I can make the stream better, despite the fact that, you know, I've got kind of limited resources there, please let me know. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you.